We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Well, look, I mean, he has made clear that
The baby boom.
Babies all over the map.
Oh yes, the generational divide, a never-ending war, but it'll soon come to a close because, mind you, we're still on RCP 8.5, and that's not even considering self-reinforcing feedback loops or methane cath rates in permafrost in the Arctic. So I don't even get to grow old. So I'm going to pull a chunk of today's content directly from a Business Insider article posted the other day. But before I do, I wanted to clarify that I think their percentile numbers of young people who are concerned about climate change are off. In my opinion, much more Gen Zers are alarmed. Also, where I stand personally, I'm a dead-ass millennial, born January 14th, 1989. I graduated high school in 2007. That was another place and time. And coincidentally, I'm also a Capricorn like Greta, so don't make me angry. Okay, let's get right into it. Alright, so you gotta trust a website with the major stock indexes at the top, because that means it's legitimized and it doesn't follow the dominant narrative of perpetual endless growth economy at all. Here's the headline. Boomers worry about inflation eating their savings. Gen Zers worry about climate change eating their planet. Here are the main points. The U.S. oldest and youngest adults are split on which economic crisis poses the greatest risk. Baby boomers worry about inflation will erode their life savings, while Gen Zers worry about climate change the most. The gap shows no sign of closing, but each group likely needs the other to solve their most feared crisis. Let's go into the article. I'm going to skip to the important parts. 37% of Gen Zers listed climate change as a top concern in April, while 1/3 of Millennials said the same, according to the Pew Research Center. I was never asked. By comparison, 29% of Boomers called it a top concern, and 36% said it wasn't an important concern at all. Instead, older Americans are feeling the heat of inflation. Price growth is at its fastest it's been in more than a decade, and wages lately haven't kept up. And 95% of the oldest living generation say they've run into price increases, while only 84% of Millennials and 75% of Gen Zers said the same. 3/4 of Boomers said inflation negatively impacted their finances, according to Bankrate.com's survey published Wednesday. The share drops to 54% for Millennials and 54% for Gen Zers. Here's the kicker. Boomers still occupy the country's most powerful offices. The Senate is the oldest it's ever been, and President Joe Biden is the oldest president the U.S. has ever had. Biden has made climate change a top concern and revealed plans in April for the U.S. to have its greenhouse gas pollution by 2030, but passing climate change legislation remains an uphill battle. Democrats' razor-slim majority in the Senate and a bevy of other policy priorities stand in the way of more timely action. Boomers also boast the most financial influence. Boomers had 52% of U.S. wealth, or $68 trillion. By the end of the first quarter, according to the Federal Reserve data, Millennials held just 5%, or $6.5 trillion. Gen Zers aren't even included in the Fed's data yet.
The baby boomers, whiny,
narcissistic, self-indulgent people with a simple philosophy. Give me it, it's mine! Give me that, it's mine!
So let's look at the data. Yep. We've got nothing. It's literally like living through the Great Depression in America with smartphones. But priorities, like the times, are changing. Millennials and Gen Zers grew up with Bill Nye the Science Guy and recycling drives instead of gas shortages and record high interest rates. A climate-focused paradigm would likely prioritize lending to environmentally friendly ventures and penalize those contributing to global warming. A carbon tax could drive a nationwide shift towards renewable energy. The government could even incentivize domestic production to curb the use of inefficient cargo ships. There would be downsides to this. A shift away from pollution-heavy global trade would likely increase labor costs and in turn drive stronger inflation. A carbon tax also likely wouldn't offset the massive government spending needed to build eco-friendly infrastructure like solar farms and vehicle charging stations. Wow, Ben Wink and Andy Kears, these ass clowns are making a real spectacle of this article. The climate-focused economy then won't be perfect, but it would still be an economy, and that's what we need, instead of the apocalypse that the youth fears. Yes, I guess so. That's the end of the article abruptly. That neither side can find a compromise because you got greedy, stingy, selfish boomers and concerned citizens on the other side who are children. So with the path that we're on, everybody loses. Isn't that wonderful? Nobody gets what they want. Good job. Really proud of democracy and capitalism, where we've gotten to this point in time. Just did a real fantastic job with taking care of Earth. Thank you so much for all the new subscribers and likes. I appreciate it. I want to end this on the note that, again, we all lose. Have a wonderful day.